You are listening to Vitality with Marilyn, a podcast about health, wellness, and all things vitality. Having set herself free from life routines, embraced a healthy lifestyle, and lost an incredible 90 pounds in under a year, Marilyn is now supporting others looking to live their best life. Here to tell her transformative story and engage in enlightening and inspirational conversations, here she is, Marilyn.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Vitality with Marilyn, and thank you for tuning in. So just a quick reminder, if you haven't watched the intro video already, well, you can do so. But this podcast is really about sharing and building a sense of community so that and getting you engaged into the process. So I'm doing it's by me but for you. So please get in touch, and I'll link my website below where you can find all the ways to connect with us and be part of this. So if you have comments, questions, or want to be part of this in terms of being a guest or contribute in any way, please do so. Today, we're going to be covering kind of more generic themes on, I'm going to going more into detail than the intro on my journey and what got me here to date. But I'm going to try and kind of break it down so that you can choose to watch what is relevant to you, and then hopefully we'll go from there.
I kind of want to bring it a little way back here. This time a year ago,
yes,
what position were you in, and why? What got you to make that next step? Just thinking about where you would have been a year ago today.
Yeah. So right now we're March 2022.
Yeah.
So March last year, between March and June, there's a lot of kind of self-reflection that was going on. So I did talk in the intro about that big haha moment, like with the MRI and realizing I was sick and so on. But obviously there's like a lot more that got me to that point. Like in terms of weight loss, it's been a challenge for a long time. And I was actually realizing at this point in time last year how much impact it was having, amongst other things. You know, I was kind of like reflecting on things a lot, and kind of putting things in context. I don't know in context, but in perspective, I should say. And so I started for the weight loss. So I started at 265 pounds. And that's a number that's really still even hard for me to say right now, because it's to me it's a big number. Actually, the first 5 pounds from June, the first 5 pounds are estimated because I avoided going on the scale for those 3 weeks. I avoided the scale all along. So the based on the measurements, so I did take measurements and so on, I figured that I lost about 5 pounds in those first 3 weeks. It took me 3 weeks to actually say, okay, I can do this, and then go from there. So between June 25th, 2021 to February 25th, 2022, so 8 months, I had lost over 80 pounds. Just putting it out there. So one of my biggest concerns doing this podcast have been about criticism of how fast I lost the weight, because I'm all about preaching about doing it healthy, and I am concerned about being criticized, because health has been definitely at the forefront of it all. I do think I've done it in the healthiest way I knew. Is there other ways or other things that I could have done that would have been even more healthy? Probably. But I just want to stress that, you know, I did follow along. I consulted with my family physician and nutritionist and other experts to really get this do this in the most healthy possible, and no pills, no dramatic kind of weight loss.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna ask, what are unhealthy ways of losing weight?
Well, and to each their own. There's a lot of there's a lot of ways and a lot of information about weight loss out there, and there's a lot of mechanism, and I don't discredit, and I like, there's some very important surgeries that are used in certain cases and so on. But what I see as unhealthy is when depriving the body of nutrients that it requires to function well, or some things that are, really negatively impacting the body functioning as a whole. So that has been kind of like a concern. Like, I wanted to make sure that didn't happen. But the risk with sharing this is that, yes, it was fast. I'm the type of person who puts, like, if I have a goal and if I'm passionate, I put everything I have in it. So I still maintain my career and my family, but other than that, this has been my main focus. I exercised a lot and definitely shifted the nutrition a lot, and did a lot of self-reflection and work on myself to be able to get where I'm at today.
Yeah, you mentioned you would avoid going on the scale at the start.
Yes.
I feel like through this process is like a lot of avoiding things. Like, you're avoiding, like, how do you manage that? Like, what types of things are you avoiding? Like, how do you kind of get around that?
Avoidance has been a huge coping mechanism, I think, of mine throughout the years. So, to, like, if I didn't get on the scale, then it didn't matter, or it didn't. I avoided getting full body pictures. So I have very few. So now I'm looking through pictures, trying to see, like, the show kind of the history. And I do have some headshots, but even at that, like, I was not getting in front of the pictures. Have any recommendations for you guys? Like, get in front of the pictures, because it's like moments I can't get back. There's often pictures of my kids with my husband, or just the kids alone, and I can't go back and be in those pictures, and I want that for them, right? And I would avoid the topic of weight in general. I would just avoid it at all costs. I avoided looking at myself in the mirror, the full length mirrors. So I didn't have a problem, like, getting ready. I didn't dislike how I looked or anything, but it was to get ready for the day. So there was a lot of avoiding going shopping for clothes, because of how that made me feel when the clothes that I wanted didn't fit right. So I bought what would fit okay, not necessarily what I liked. So avoidance has been a huge thing. And realistically, like, whether you choose to get on the scale, and the scale is very controversial, I'll give you that, because it's kind of a little bit hard on the mind. The thing is no matter what, I mean, it still exists. And I've avoided putting the word obesity to my situation. Like, to me, I was overweight, but obese was not what I was going towards, and it was not okay. And it's not until when I put that word to, like, where my weight was, that it was, like, became unacceptable for me, because that meant there was a lot of health concern that came with that. So, and again, like, I want to be very mindful that I'm not saying that there's anything bad with being overweight. I'm not saying that it's always a problem that you're not healthy. It's just, for me, being obese, like, because I could do something about it, it was important for me to do something about it. So avoidance, and I still, like, I mean, I find myself avoiding many things, that I don't enjoy, and put it, like, if you put it away, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So yeah.
How'd you break that though? Like, how did you finally be like, I gotta face this?
Well,
aside from the wake up call you had that you talked about in the intro, like, anything other than that, like, was kind of like, I gotta stop avoiding this?
Yeah. Well, it's hard to say, because that wake up call was probably the most part of it. But once it takes courage. You need to kind of face like, it feels bad to, like, just hit it, like, look at it head on. But then once you look at it, you accept where you're at, and you have hope that there's something you can do about it, then, avoiding just becomes no longer necessary. It's kind of countered by, like, realizing that I could do this. So once I figured out that I actually could make changes, a lot of little changes, then that's why I got the confidence to step on the scale and stop avoiding that number. I knew it was going to be bad, or bad. Like I knew my reaction to the number was going to be bad, or not feel great, but I knew that I could do something about it.
Yeah.
So that's how.
How long was it? That first time you stepped on the scale in June. When was the last time before that you would have stepped on a scale? What would it have been like?
Oh, that was a while ago. It was about a year and a half before. So when I say about February, like January or February, 2020, 2020. Sorry. So about a year and a half before, and that was at 250. Which 250? Because there's a lot of like things that at 250, like that's just the number. Like I don't know if you look like on chairs or whatever, like the maximum capacity. And that was one of the problems. Like in April last year, my like computer chair broke, and I had to buy another one, but everything was closed because of the pandemic. So all the stores, so I had to order online, but I had to figure out which chairs I could buy, and the weight limit was a big problem because a lot of them only went to 250. So so I knew from having stepped on the scale like over a year before that I was at least at that, and I knew I'd gain weight during the pandemic. So yeah, that was the last time.
Wow. Yeah, and I feel like because you mentioned to me that this isn't the first time you've tried.
So just to back it up, like way back it up. So I've had challenges with weight management for a long time. So growing up was fine. Is once I went to college. I mean, I was never small. I kind of have a big frame, so I was never very small or delicate or anything. I'm 5'9". I should have mentioned that when I started with the weight. So yeah, when I went to college, kind of gained a bunch of weight just doing the college thing, eating the way college kids can eat. I gained about 40 pounds, and then I lost that at the end of my college years. So, and then maintained it for, 3-4 years. So it was good. What I did then, and it was quite successful, it was a program that was really focused on, balanced, healthy lifestyle. Program was called Mace IV, and I don't know if it's still around. I think it is. It's French, it's out of Quebec. So it was about portions and making sure you eat all of the different food groups from the Canadian guidelines. So that actually was successful, and then maintained the weight, the weight until I had kids. So first pregnancy, gained 70 pounds. So that was hard. Being pregnant was hard. I felt really, really sick, and most of the things that felt okay was mostly bread and things like that. So anyways, gained a lot of weight during my first pregnancy. After I had my first child, went down a bit, but not 70 pounds. And then second pregnancy, I went up even a bit higher than the first one. And then throughout the years, I've put on another like 40 some pounds. So it's been a struggle. So to answer your question in a very roundabout way, I tried. So about when my daughter, so my second child, my last child, was almost a year. So I did try a program. That one was, it felt very intense, like a very overwhelming, because like I had a newborn and a toddler, and then and that was like macros based. So then learning about the macros, so the carbs and the protein and the fats, and then trying to figure out the coach had to sign like a percentage of each, and trying to find the foods that were going to match these macros and the low calories that was recommended. It all became too much. Did it for like a week and then dropped out. I was just like, okay, that's not for me. And then a few years later, tried something else. And I mean, the theme is that you tried not for very long, but felt really bad or not good at it and so on, so pulled out. So again, like just saying, okay, that's not for me. And then tried kind of like a program that was very much about supplements and so on. And I did it for like the first 8 days of it. There was an 8-day program, but that was part of a 30 months. So maintained like the 8 days, but it was pretty extreme, different from what, and so like that dropped. And that was like in 2018, I believe, which was like the last time I kind of tried. So I feel like all these attempts and what I perceived as failures then prevented me to kind of try again, or they kind of put it away and again go back into that avoidance mode and saying, well, okay, I'm accepting of this is who I am, this is how I look, and this is just the way that's going to be because I've tried and it didn't work. So yeah, I mean, I think most people have tried. It's important to try things, but the thing about what's different this time is it wasn't about losing weight. And I've talked to different people, and it's like when it's not about all the other times it was about losing weight. And in that moment, like when I was faced with like a struggle, either I hadn't planned the food accordingly, or I was in a social event or context, then I was seeing something that wasn't part of the plan to eat or something, and I felt like I was punished, like I was deprived of being able to do that because I was bigger and so on. But this time it doesn't feel anything like it. It's a choice.
So like aside from if it's not about losing weight, then what's it about?
Well, it's about health. So from the beginning is like about getting healthier, and then how I've seen the food. And I know there's different recommendations out there, right? Okay, cleanse your cupboards, cleanse your fridge, cleanse your, set yourself up for success. And you know what? Like if that's what you need, then that's fine. But the way I've done it is I had all these things at home that I really would normally love to snack on and so on. But it was a very huge mind shift about, no, I have a goal. I need to get healthy, and this is going against that goal. And I didn't even want to. There are things that I purposely did, like I was very careful with sugar, like any refined sugar, not like fruits or anything. But I was worried that if I ate some sugar, because there's a bit of an addiction, like it's addictive, right? So I would want more. And when I was living without cravings, I very much enjoy not having cravings. So I was worried about it. So there were some conscious choices like that. But I also am not eating a diet that is overly restrictive of any food groups. But the things, like if I'm thinking about food as fuel, I'm thinking, okay, well, what does this actually contribute to my health, and what does it contribute? Like, what does it do good for my body? If the answer is like, it's just, a few minutes of tasting good and enjoying the taste, then I move on.
Mm-hmm. I like how you said, knowing that you don't have the craving feels better than when you did have the craving. I don't know. That's not how you worded it. You made it sound a lot nicer than that, but I think that's awesome too. 'Cause it's like the feeling of not having the craving is trumping the feeling of the actual craving.
Yeah.
That's a big step.
Yeah. And like cravings are for so many reasons. But it is like, and the word that's going to come back a lot is like freedom. I think throughout the podcast is like, there's a certain freedom to say, okay, when you don't have cravings or hunger, like if you're not hungry, and that was it's been a huge goal, is like to not be hungry. 'Cause when you're hungry, you're making bad, poor decisions, or you're needing to feel like to eat so that you're not thinking about it, or so on. But the cravings, they can cause you to make the decision, like decisions that are not part of your weight loss plan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, freedom too. Like even just from what you were saying earlier, like clothing, chairs, stuff like that.
Yeah. So that's the reason. So the question about why I started has definitely been health, but why I'm been motivated to continue has definitely been because of the freedom I found. There's a lot of things that I didn't that like there's moments like yesterday I was coming out of I went to a shopping center and coming out of the vehicle, and I'm like, oh, I would have never fit. Like I couldn't have parked in that spot because I wouldn't have been able to get out before. So, like when you're open or getting into the vehicle. So that is huge freedom. It's a huge realization at that point. And I took the bus for a good chunk of time when I was working downtown. And I had to pick where I sit based on my size, because some seats, especially like there's some that like 3 in a row, I couldn't, like if I sat in it, I would overflow kind of on the other seat, and then I would feel bad for people. Or like, I'd always had to think I was very aware of my size when I was on the bus, and how like not only an inconvenience to me, but the inconvenience to others. Taking a plane. So I'd always I used to travel a lot before the pandemic, and I always put my daughter in between, like in the middle seat, because when I sat there, then I took more than my seat in terms of space and didn't want to inconvenience the people beside me. But then the clothes is huge. Like now, and yeah, I have to like keep reminding myself, like even going shopping, about the styles that I can now wear, and like just so many more options. That's a freedom.
You're still like very fresh too in your journey, but I feel like, do you feel you ever get to a point down the road where you don't even think about those things anymore? You just pull into a parking spot, not even thinking about the space. You just sit down on a spot on the bus just because, like, do you think you can ever get to that point?
I think I will, but I hope I don't forget. Because I feel like moving our bodies, fueling our bodies, like it's a privilege to have. Some people have limitations that they can't do that. And I hope I don't forget. I hope it becomes more natural, because it's going to become more and more reality. But the learnings and this of the situation, I really don't. I hope I don't forget.
Yeah, no, because I was going to say, based on the other times you tried, you kind of didn't follow through with it. This time, what kind of kept you going? But I guess it's just understanding the more freedom you get.
Yeah, and the freedom too is in the biggest part, and I haven't touched on it, I guess, is like the energy and the will to just go out there and live and do anything I want. I haven't there's one thing to just go about your day or doing things like with the kids or going out because it's the right thing to do, but wanting to do it because you feel like doing it, and feel and the range of motion, like the physical capacity to go and run or walk and just be able to do, like, have no real limitations. That is freedom as well. So that's big in terms of motivation to keep going. And it's funny that you brought up this whole thing about in the future. I really hope I don't forget, because now you're right, it's pretty fresh, and I remember vividly what was life before.
Not even a full year ago.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in to Vitality with Marilyn. Don't forget to join us on social, get involved in our communities, reach out if you have a powerful story to share, or send us a question you'd like answered. Take care for now, and don't forget to choose active, happy, and free.